How you doing, folks? And welcome to Recovery Now. And my guest here is Doug Cody. How you doing, Doug?
Hey, brother. How are you, John? Good to be here.
Welcome to Recovery Now. Now, Doug has an interesting story, um, and I would love for you guys to hear this. Doug, how long you been clean?
About 4.5 years, June.
Four
My
and a half.
clean date's November 5th, 2018.
Okay. Now, what I want you to tell the people watching is what it was like for you before you got clean, and what drove you to get clean. To start off with.
Well, I couldn't die. No, the last 2 years were horrible. I basically lived in my bathroom, disease of addiction. It was, at that last 2 years of my using I reverted back to alcohol, and I call that a couple of handles of vodka a day. And
How young were you
when I ended,
when you started?
I'm going to say that my first drink was 8 years old.
Wow, 8.
It took me 49 years to surrender to disease of addiction, and it's full circle. So,
It's never too late.
no, it's never too late. It's one day at a time for all of us. So, the progression, we talked about it. The getting to the end of the time, waking up after a blackout. People don't realize, though, the disease is so criminal that, you don't have a choice at the end. You have to use no matter what. You have to use, perhaps if I didn't end up how it worked out, I probably would have died anyway, from, just the shakes, just tremors and whatnot, just,
Was
the
it just drink?
alcohol poisoning. At the end, last 2 years were just alcohol, and that's the worst drug in my opinion. Because it's so easily attained, right? And
And
we
it's
talked
legal.
a little bit. We talked a little bit where it started, back in the 60s where it was, family didn't know about, alcohol. We had a full bar at my house. When I was accepted to have that, my father let me have that first beer. I became a power greater than myself. I became part of something, and that something was every day before school, every day after school. It was so ingrained in my life that, it was just escaping myself. Not that I like the taste of alcohol, but I like the effect it had on me because
yeah.
it kind of gave me power. It gave me power. Then the progression of other things. But you know what? Alcohol was always there. It was always there. It was always there.
When you say that, it kind of takes me back as well to when I was a kid, because I started at an early age. When I started, my dad used to make moonshine in Puerto Rico, and I remember they used to have the big gallons, about like that, and they used to put all kinds of stuff, potatoes, all kinds. It's like a stew, and they would bury it on the ground for a month. And I remember when I got a taste of it, I found one under the bed. The lid was loose. It had a little fluid, and it had all the potatoes, the pieces of meat. And I remember it was a piece of meat that I tasted. And I remember that I was out for 2 days. And my dad, they tell me that my dad didn't want to take me to the hospital. My mom kept crying, and my dad said, well, he's going to drink when he gets older. He's just drunk. I came out of it after 2 days, and I was fine. But my dad used to, remember back in the days, the little nips of Budweiser, the big packs? That's what my dad used to drink, and he used to give me the fuzz. And I loved the way that used to make me feel, man. I was like, oh my God. And I was just a kid. And I grew up with that feeling, enjoying it, like you said, the effect. But what I did not realize is that as the years went by, I wasn't, I didn't realize that I was addicted to the shit. Oops. I was addicted to it, and I spent 23 years, getting high and drinking, and the liquor drove me to the other stuff. That's why I ask you if you did anything besides just drinking,
Absolutely.
because one thing takes you to the other, and I tell that to a lot of people that they're in recovery, and oh no, I only smoke weed. Yeah, now, but
Absolutely.
so as your disease progressed, did it get out? Did it get out of, what did it make you do? Because a lot of us did a lot of crazy things because of it.
Jails, institutions, and death.
Uh-huh.
8 DWIs, total 10 cars. And you know what? At the end of the day, I didn't think I had a problem. I didn't think I had a problem.
Yeah, none of us did.
Because, I had a lot of enablers in my life. My work ethics was important. I took over a business at 17. I really didn't have much thought about, getting away, making that money. I made that money, so I could attain alcohol and drugs and women and that lifestyle. But you know what? At the end of the day, all of that left me. All of that left me. The women left me. My friends left me because I was no longer, I didn't have any friends. It wasn't about, that I was just too dangerous to be with, I could tell you. You know what I'm saying? It just turns you into a person that I don't even want to think about today. But, thank God with a little bit of clean time today, you know what, I don't, it all goes back to saying I'm sorry and, making excuses for my actions, right? So, I really can't say that today. I really think a lot about before I make a decision, and I'm one step away, one bad decision away from a drink or a drug. And we could talk a little bit about addiction. For me, it's not about the drugs and alcohol. It's about anything that I obsess on: gambling, the strip
Right.
clubs, going to the casino. Anything that I obsess on that I love to do makes me feel good, appeases my ego. That all is bad news for me. I don't go to the bars. It's not because I'm going to be thinking about taking that drink. The drugs and alcohol are so far removed from me. But the lifestyle, if I put myself in that position enough time, sooner or later, and
You'll
I
be
stop doing
right
what I
back.
do for my recovery, that's going to meetings, we talk about steps, 12 steps of recovery with a sponsor, right? Little prayer and meditation, finding, being in touch with a higher power greater than myself, because I'm not it, right? So, yeah, if these things don't come into my life on a daily basis, I forget real fast that I have a problem, and all bets are off, no matter how good my life is today. I could have the misery in about a week. I'll be in jails, institutions again, and attempted death, that's for sure.
Well, you know what they say, and I know that it's true, that a relapse is not doesn't happen when you start drinking. Relapse happens way before that, and you get addicted to other stuff that replaces your drugs and all that, and these other things. The longer you do them, and the more you obsess over them, will take you back to where you wind up doing drugs and drinking. I mean, I talked to a lot of. I've never relapsed. I came close to relapsing 3 times my first year, and I did what we're taught to do in recovery: take phone numbers when you go to meetings, and that saved my life those 3 times. But like I said, I've been on top of my game. That's how I called it. Since then, I watch myself. I know that any minute, if I don't, I could relapse, and I obsess over things. And and when I see myself that way, I be like, man, this is just another replacement for that. And so I'm listening to you say it, and I heard a lot of people say it, and like it's true. It starts up here. You start obsessing with other stuff, and before you know it, you wind up obsessing with the wrong things. So let me ask you something. What led you to get clean and sober?
Failed attempted assisted suicide at a pharmacy. And, yeah.
That's why you say you can't even
My
kill
5
yourself.
minutes of fame, no, for sure. And you know what? So listen, I stole a truck, my father's truck, and this is the plan I had, because you know what? I had guns, the bullets were taken away. I had means. There's means, obviously means, I probably could have found something. I did enough of pills of some sort, maybe overdose, but here I'm an addict. I want to get high. I wanted my 5 minutes of fame. Let's go to a pharmacy. Listen, I want the best drugs you got. Give them to me, IV. I don't care. I didn't care. I wanted to die, right? By your hand, or if the cops shoot me when I'm in the place. It didn't matter. But you know what? Somehow, some miraculous thing, somebody had called the cops, and my father or my neighbor said, "Oh, Doug stole your truck." I said, "Listen." So they knew where I was going because I already said goodbye to my family. This is the plan I had. When the half-gallon of vodka was found on a Sunday afternoon, taken away, and the package stores were closed, I had no money. And I started shaking violently within 20 minutes, and I knew I had to do something. At that point, I already made up my mind. This is the time for me. So, needless to say, I got up there about 7, 8 o'clock, and the cops are swarming. So my best thinking, I had enough money to buy a bottle of vodka, and they found me blacked out behind the wheel, and the cops banging, and they says, "We know why you're here," and and they called an ambulance, and I went directly to the psych ward.
Right.
I went directly to the psych ward. You know what? 12 days later, I made a decision, and it was at the time, it's kind of, what I do, and thank God that there was a 12-step program came into that facility, carrying the message of recovery, The first night I made it to the 7th floor, nurse says, "Doug, you never have to use again." I never have. I never have. Because I really surrendered. I said, this is a straight up miracle that I made it through that, And,
That's
and
God,
I
man.
die so bad.
That's God.
So that's a spiritual awakening. I'll always say, when I left, I threw all the psych meds in the trash, and the first night out, I went to a meeting, and it wasn't I had support at home. My father was in the middle of winter. He says, "I'll bring you this meeting." I said, "Find your own way home." So June had said, I raised my hand, just got out of the psych ward. I need help. Talking about phone numbers, bought literature, went to a business meeting, took a door greeter commitment the first night. A commitment to me means I'm going to show up. I got a reason to go next Friday, right? And I kept going next Friday and next Friday. Eventually, I got a license. Eventually, people came to me for a job. They wanted me to work for them. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know.
So, beautiful things happen. Nothing I even asked for. It came to me, right? Just by doing the right thing, by working the principles of recovery. I'm going to say honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to change. And this whole program is about change. And things will change for the better. All you have to do is not use just for today. I wear the Sober High shirt movement, right? Sober High. It's a movement, right? It doesn't. It doesn't talk about a program directly, but I guess you can read between the lines. It's in the back of the shirt. It says, "Don't use no matter what." I'm part of that no matter what club. No matter if one of my parents does not wake up tomorrow.
I had a bracelet that said that.
No matter what club. If my dog gets hit by a car, if one of my parents dies tomorrow, my kids get killed in a car wreck, no matter what. And I mean that, honestly. I've learned in the process that no matter what,
and you know
a drink or a drug is not going to help me.
And you know what? You get that a lot. Like when people, where I work, where people relapse and they come back. I haven't seen them in a year and a half. They come back or wherever. And they always had the same thing, same thing. And I was told a long time ago, and it's true, that no matter what you say that made you relapse, it's an excuse. Because there's no reason for you to relapse unless you already have the thoughts in the back of your head. It's already been there, and you were waiting for the right reason to, right excuse. Because anything is an excuse. Even if your mom dies, it's an excuse. Because your mom, you think your mom, and I said it many times, your mom is not going to be up in heaven saying, "Son, stick that needle in your arm, light up that crack," or whatever, you grab the bottle. They're not going to be saying that. They're gone, and they want you to move on with your life and live for them, live a beautiful life. Just because your girlfriend left you, you're going to drink. Now you're drinking because you got a new girlfriend. You lost your job, you're drinking or getting high. Now you're celebrating because you got a new job. It's all excuses, they're all excuses, and I used them at one time. I used them, and I never realized what I was doing until I got into recovery, because back then I didn't even know there was such thing as recovery. That's why this show is here, to let people know there's help. There's help no matter where you look. If you look for it, you will find it, just like you look for anything else. Just like you look for your liquor, you look for your drugs, and you find them, you could find recovery if you look for it, if you want it. Now, what has your life been since you got clean and sober?
Man. living a dream, my friend. Living a dream. You know, I get to be part of the process. You know, going into
That's a beautiful
even the psych ward or the hospital I was in. You know, I made a little short-term goal for myself. 6 months clean. I brought a meeting back, 12-step meeting back to that facility. And like you said about people coming back, wasn't I here with you last year? On the other side of the table?
Yeah.
Wasn't I here with you last?
Yeah.
That's what I say. You could be on this side of the table, carrying the message of recovery.
That makes
right?
a big difference.
That's what I'm saying. So, just the power of example. Listen, I don't want, and you talk about relapse. So if a friend says, he decided to get high more than he decided to get clean. It's a done deal. There's no reason, no excuses. This is what it is. He already knew this is what he wanted. Getting high was more important than staying clean. And you want to suffer the consequences of how far you want to take that.
Yeah.
Because you don't start at the beginning. There's no redos when you start. You know, when I was 8 years old and trying this drug and that drug, it's the best. The first time's the best time. You don't get that back. I don't even know. I don't even know when the last time I got high was. I don't even know how many years ago, but I just used to not be sick. Understanding that's the end of the road, right? Just to not be sick. There's many forms, Suboxone, methadone, many forms, but none of that. That's all, anything you put in your body that isn't natural is not being clean, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So,
and to me, you know, I don't understand if. Well, maybe it's not that I don't understand. It's just I guess I've been clean too long. I don't know. Going on 12 years, I've been clean. August 29th is my clean day. And I don't see, I would not want to go backwards to the way my life was at one time. See, that's the part I don't understand why people don't look at that. I mean, you get people that come into these places all broken up and homeless, that no life, and they're almost dead. They're like walking zombies. And why would you want to go back to that life when you have a chance to get clean and sober when you go to a place of recovery? Why would you want to throw that away when you have a chance to have a beautiful life, you know? And to me, it scares me. You know, the thought that someday, if I don't watch myself, I could go back to that, you know? And that's one of the things that keeps me going. And when I see people that come into the rehabs, and I see them how broken they are, and then they get clean, and they're oh, I'm going to do it this time. And a year later, year and a half later, they're back. And why would you let yourself go back to that? Once you get clean and sober, you should know what you're giving up. That's how I feel, you know. So what are your thoughts on that?
I do have some. So what are you willing to give up? People, places, and things. And, you know, I throw this out, simple message of recovery, you know, people, places, things. When you get out of a treatment center, 30-day plan. And I'm never going to be an advocate to say these guys. I push them to stay in recovery, to find another sober, get some time behind it, not worry about your girlfriend, your wife, your kids. This is, if you're not in a process for yourself, and if you're there to save a marriage, you're in trouble. People, places, things. Realizing a lot of people don't have anywhere to go other than back to the old playground with their friends, with their family, and they love nothing more for you to join them. Come on, you can have a drink, you can smoke a little. I deal with this in my family still, you know, because they're jealous of my life, because they're still in misery themselves. Listen, I'm not giving that freedom back. I'm free. They're not free. Do you understand freedom, don't you? Yeah. We're free. We can go anywhere we want. I can go anywhere in the world I want. I don't have a passport. I'm working on that. But listen, I have the money to do that today.
Right.
I didn't have nothing 4.5 years ago. Nothing.
That's what I like. I feel that I have a life today I did not have yesterday. I own my own car. I'd never had a car before. I could never even keep a car, you know?
Yeah.
Not making the payments. I haven't had an eviction in almost 12 years since I've been clean, you know? I haven't had my electricity turned off since I've been clean, You know, all these things were things used to happen to me. You know, I used to, in the middle of the night, I used to get up and move because eviction notice, you know, stealing the electricity from the neighbors. Of course, that's harder to do today, but that's how I used to live, you know, and on the run all the time. So I like that about recovery, that I go to work every day. I get up in the morning, or I work second shift. So my morning is when everybody's coming home from work. I'm going, and I love going to my job because I get to do pretty much what I do now. Try to help people. Try to send a message that there is hope in recovery if you want it. And I never cared about anything yesterday, you know. Today I think about other people besides myself. Everything, I put everything in front. You know, being me today is caring about others, which yesterday I didn't give a crap about no one, you know. If I didn't have nothing to gain from what I was doing, I wouldn't do it. Today I do it just to help because I want to help people. I don't want to see people the way I was, you know. And I'm glad you came, man, you know, and tell them what you do, you know.
Well, like I said, Jude, I grew up in a family. My father was self-employed. We do auto restorations, upholstery per se, but you know, I grew up in an environment where everybody, and it's the only business I ever seen 24/7. We started early in the morning. Everybody, first thing, open that Budweiser or whatever, you know, drink. Everybody drank at work, and it seemed to be acceptable. You know, with customers come, we didn't hide anything back in. This is back in the '60s, early '70s, right? So that was a lifestyle, and I was a little kid, and I can remember. So I was a kid, remember. So I like sweet things. So they used my boy. You know, my father didn't directly buy me, but the other guy, the package store up the street, right, and they'd get me a pint or half pint of blackberry brandy.
Yeah, that was sweet, yeah.
Cherry, something sweet. Now here, my kid, I want something sweet with a kick, and it had a kick, right? So, and then the highlight of my Saturday afternoon, I would close, and my father would go to the bar, and I'd be going to the bar with him. And very early, I learned how to gamble, play. It was a bookie. I played cards for money, poker, 12 years old. I wasn't a kid, never was a kid. I can say that honestly. I never was I never had anybody closely, remotely to my age. I always gravitated to older people and did older people things. So I was but you know what, mentally, I never grew past 12 years old either because I was so,
welcome
so
to the club.
programmed into that lifestyle because I thought, you know, as long as I had money, and the ability to make money, that my life would be okay. But you know what? It wasn't okay. And it, you know, it just wasn't. It's stagnant. I'm still trying to recover from that life. And it took me. Here I am, 61 years old, and I'm still mentally a kid, basically. I still am, really. But, you know, I try to do, I do make adult decisions, hopefully, and I think about it. I'll always throw it out. Like you said, if it's really important, I'll throw it across my sponsor or a good friend that's going to have an open mind. It's going to make. I said, Doug, you know, maybe you should think about this because I don't make those compulsive decisions.
Right.
Yeah, if it gravitates towards chaos, you know, let's do this. There's something that's not right, against the law. Yeah, I'm down with that. You know what I mean? But I don't do things like that today. You know, if I haven't got pulled over in 4 or 5 years, but you know what? When I did, I knew I was going to jail. If I did today, you know, I'll say, listen, I know I'm not going to jail because I'm not going to be drunk or high or in possession of a lot of drugs. So
one of the things that I do that I like that you do. It's unselfish, and you don't get paid for it, but yet you still do it, and that's what I was asking you about. Doug here takes meetings to people that can't get out. If you're in a rehab and you can't leave, he comes to you, and that's what I was That's what I was asking you.
Yeah, for me to do that, my God, that's a beautiful experience for me to carry the message of recovery. Like you said, you know, it's a simple message. It's been the same since the 12 steps were written. You know, It's always going to be people, places, and things. It's going to be about self-preservation. It's going to be about raising your hand. It's going to be about admitting. I like to go around the room and said, listen, and I'll raise my hand. I said, listen, my name is Doug. I'm a recovering addict. I'm an addict, and I'm proud to be an addict today because there's nothing wrong with that. I wear this recovery stuff proudly. I'm not ashamed. Anonymity is a tough thing. A lot of people, I had a friend pass, and I didn't know because, last names are not something, but I see a friend in recovery's picture in a paper, and, I don't have the ability to go to his funeral because I don't even know he died. It hurts me, and I just had that instance, 49 years old.
Yes.
And it hurts. It hurts. Some parts of me don't like anonymity, but they're important to a lot of people in the professional field, right? So for me, anybody that knew me when I was using, and they see me today, they don't even believe it's the same person.
Yeah,
it's
same
not
here,
even
same
the
here.
same person. And that's what I'm trying to say. So people trust me in their house alone, or businesses, that I can go in and they're not locking me out or calling the cops if I'm anywhere near them. So what a change. And this is not something I asked and begged for. It's just something that happens one day at a time. So for me coming into a facility to carry the message, it's something that I'll always do because without that, I'll forget who I am. And if I could save one life or have somebody from a facility come into a meeting in general and say, listen, I remember you, and I could somehow get them on the road to recovery, because once you walk out that door at 30, you don't have anything, you don't know anything. I don't know anything. They think because they got 30 days under their belt that they can go out the door and it's all good. There's no magic wands in recovery. I don't have one. I wish I did. I wish I had an answer to use safely without consequence. There is none.
That I believe that if there's such a magic wand, will be you wanting recovery, you wanting to stay clean and sober, put your faith in God, higher power, however you want to call him, and do the footwork. And you got to work hard for it. That's the magic wand. It comes from in here, from up here, from you. It comes from you. You got to really want it. And but Doug, I'm glad you came. And you keep spreading the message, keep taking meetings to those that can't go to them. You bring it to them. And I'm very proud of that. And I'm glad that you came to the show.
That is what we do, my friend.
All right.
Recovery is possible.
And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say thank you for watching. And God loves us all. Peace.